Welcome back to Would You Gaming, where we try to keep you up to date on the latest in gaming news and cover interesting topics along the way as well. This week I wanted to discuss something a little bit different. I had played a little bit of the recent release from Tencent Studios, Timmy, I think it was, the subsidiary of Tencent, Pokemon Unite. I thought this was an interesting game, and even though my internet connection is not the best in the world, I was able to play some games. I've played a little bit since launch. It launched back on the 21st, I think it was. And the title is interesting. If you've played any MOBA or anything along those lines, then you know what a MOBA is. A MOBA, if you're unfamiliar with the term, is a multiplayer online battle arena. It will see you and your teammates trying to hold more of an area over the course of the match, as well as fighting NPCs and oftentimes trying to destroy an enemy's base, though that's not the case in Pokemon Unite. In this one, of course, you get to play as Game Freak's Pokemon IP, Game Freak and Nintendo's Pokemon IP, and instead of having a base, typically there would be a base that you could destroy. That would be one of the battle conditions to win. In this one, it has you scoring goals, which you would typically take over areas in other games such as Smite. That's the only one that really comes to mind there. I know I'm going to catch flack about this. What is the other one? League of Legends, I think it is. And those are interesting titles. They have it where you can actually play as one of multiple different classes, and it's no different in this. They each serve a purpose. So in this particular game, you have a healer, you have an attacker, you have a defender, and semi-supporter, I guess is what you would call it. So they're really only like four that I'm aware of. So people like Mr. Mime and Snorlax, big, bulky guys, serve as walls. They can set up obstacles that block off your enemies, or create just opportunities to prevent them from escaping if they're trying to escape and you're trying to get that last sliver of HP off them with your team. We also have, who was it? Ninetales. I've been playing as Ninetales a little bit. That's one of the ones I picked. One of the attacks on that one, Blizzard, it might be the upgraded version. It makes a wall behind your enemy as well, so it helps to box the enemy in. There are various stats that each Pokemon would have, including HP, attack, defense, special defense, and speed, letting you know just how fast they are. So a Pokemon like Talonflame is, of course, going to be quick and strike hard. There are some slower attackers like Machamp. Scorbunny's pretty quick. I think I've only played a match with one of those. I can't wait to grab Greninja and some of these other characters, though, just to test them out and see how they play. And of course, there are stat boosting items, and there was even a streamer who was able to semi-break the game or gain a advantage over other characters just by spending $100 in-game money, not in-game money, but real currency. Because, of course, there are microtransactions in this game, and apparently can be semi-play to win, which a lot of people might think is unfair. I understand that, but you could get to the same level. It would just take you a lot of in-game time, grinding your way up through matches, earning your way up there, unlocking characters, etc. And even like a week ago, the character of Cramorant was pretty broken. What I read, it was just a beast, and I just unlocked that earlier, and that is when my connection kind of died, and I couldn't get back to it. It was upsetting to me, but I'm going to try that out when I get back in there and see if I can't get some cheesy kills. So you work as a team. You want to run as a team. And if you've played any MOBA, I played Smite a little bit back in the day, and I was not great at it. I didn't understand the whole, you might want to stick with your team, serve your purpose there. If you're a healer, you stay back and lay down a healing field. Like with Ninetales in this, you had the option to run Aurora Veil. And I thought Aurora Veil was an interesting move. Even in the Pokemon games, after you use it, it's a support move. So it sets up a defense and a special defense boost for a number of turns. I think it's like 2 or 3. In this, it sets up an area that you and your team can be in. You will take less damage from enemies while there. And this is an interesting concept. I like what they're doing here. And they have so much room for the roster for improvement. Even tomorrow, I think I'm recording this on a Tuesday on the 27th. On tomorrow, Gardevoir is supposed to be releasing, and that's going to be a new character coming out. So the game's been out a week now. they're already pushing out a new character, and you know that there are over 700 Pokemon. Probably, I'm not sure the exact number. It's a ridiculous number of Pokemon. If we factor everything in, that's why Game Freak cut some of the content in Sword and Shield likely to save space. There's just too many Pokemon over the course of all these generations. We've accumulated too many. But this gives Tencent and it gives Game Freak an advantage because you could make so much money off microtransactions buying the currency in order to unlock characters, because I've unlocked a handful. I'm on day like 5 of the rewards, and once you get up to 7 you get like a Crustal, up to I think it's like 8 or 9 you get a Score Bunny, and on 14 you get a Greninja I know. So I'm working towards that, just daily logging in, doing a little mission, and they've got me, they've hooked me. I'm not going to spend any money on this, it's free to play, but the idea is to get you into the ecosystem, get you spending some money so they can generate some revenue, and it's a fun little game, to be honest with you. I have fun with it, I get to enjoy it. It's free, I mean, you're not paying anything if you don't want to, you don't have to spend any money, and I get to play some of the favorite Pokemon in the franchise. So if you're a Pokemon fan or anything like that, it might be a win-win. This might be your first MOBA. I'm not great at MOBAs. I'm trying to learn and run with my team as necessary. And I've got to say, playing online, just seeing some of the teammates I played with, a lot of other people don't know how to play a MOBA either. My friend at work told me, he said, man, you've got to get on there. I need a teammate. Some of these folks are just, they go off on their own and just get murdered. And it's easy to do that, fall into prey, because somebody will kite you back to their base where there's their teammates waiting, or that you can hide in the tall grass and you can't be seen, which is pretty neat. But what you do in this one is you go through and you try to, as you kill wild Pokemon out in the wild, which are NPCs, you get Pokeballs or whatever they're called, and you take them to your opponent's goals, and if you are able to dunk a hole 80, then you take that goal over. You earn points based on the amount of area you hold. As you start out, there are 2, 4, I think 8 points, and then in the center, a Pokemon will spawn towards the end, and that's worth a lot of points if you and your team can beat it and capture it. And throughout, at the top and the bottom of the map, there will be other Pokemon that are less powerful that you can go and destroy. They're still higher level, and it takes a team effort, but if you go out there and you guys destroy them, catch them, then you're able to up your points that you're getting over your opponents. As you're defeating and capturing the wild Pokemon, you actually level up and gain new moves as you go up to, I think it's level 10. There might be a max, I might be incorrect completely there. You start as your base form Pokemon, so if I'm playing as a Ninetales, I'm starting out as Vulpix. I've got to go up through the evolutions. I think you evolve from that at like 5 or 6. But other forms, like for Talonflame, you go from 3 or 4 to like 7, and then that's your final stage evolution. So you're leveling up and gaining moves as you go. So it feels like you're progressing, and if you happen to be defeated by one of your enemies and go back to the start, you do not lose any evolution progress between the start and the end of the game. At the end of the game, you will start over again at the start of that next game, but you don't lose it if you die to an opponent's attack during that match. It's a strategy game, and you want to work with your teammates and play this. If you have a good squad and you guys are communicating, have a Discord chat or anything like that, you're gonna have a blast with this. It's possible that you can do well here. I've played some of the rank. Like I said, my internet's not the greatest, and the travel time, having to let it off the stick a little bit earlier just so I won't keep traveling after I've hit that, or hitting the attack button at the appropriate time to make sure that I'm able to lock on to an enemy or anything like that is kind of hit and miss here and there. But I have fun with it when I'm able to get a good connection. Like tonight is storming, so it's not really the best time to be playing. My connection at the end there, I couldn't even get a connection. It said I was disconnected from the internet. It's an interesting time. If it's free to play, I would encourage you, if you are a Pokemon fan, pick it up and try it out. I'm on there. I'm under the name of Woodja. If you see me on there, you can try to join, and we could try to squad up and run through. But it's an interesting little game, and I think that it's going to make a lot of money. Seeing the amount of money that Pokemon Go brought in, and I personally didn't think Pokemon Go would take off like it did. I played when it first dropped. I was able to get into the server and play. I didn't think it would keep going like it did. There's so many people that just love Pokemon Go that'll play it to exercise and everything like that. I personally am not a big fan of the augmented reality. I turn that off and just have the general background on. But there are people that love that game and have dropped money. You don't have to drop money, but you're still spending time in it. They get you one way or another. So like I said, if you're a fan of Pokemon titles, maybe like MOBAs, or if you've never tried one, give it a go. See if it's your thing. It's not going to be for everybody, I can acknowledge. It's an interesting time. It's fun, and you can play as a lot of your favorite Pokemon. I'm sure that if it's not available at this point, check back a year from now, and the roster will be heavily updated. If you're willing to pay that barrier to entry, that capital tax, then you can probably buy right in and get your favorite character. As always, this has been Chris here with Would You Gaming. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let us know if you have any ideas for upcoming content we can put out there. Always looking to improve the podcast. If you know of any way that we might be able to make it more pleasurable for your listening ears, do let us know. Just want to give a shout out as well to my friends across the pond, the VGCast boys. Check them out. They're on Spotify. You can check them out on Twitter and Instagram. They cover a lot of Xbox stuff. They just recently put out an episode on Street Fighter. That was pretty interesting. The one prior to that, I think they were discussing a lot of the Xbox Game Pass games that you can get for just free. So they keep you up to date on all that and news, so check them out. As always, enjoy.